Once upon a time, there was a sage famous for his ability to solve difficult problems. One day, he received two young men seeking advice. Both were polite and patient, yet each wanted the other to speak first. After some discussion, they realized that their questions were essentially the same. Both were low-level employees, frequently treated poorly at work and not respected. They wanted to know whether they should quit their jobs. Finally, they agreed to ask the sage at the same time. The sage closed his eyes and meditated silently for a long while. The two young men waited patiently without saying a word. When he opened his eyes, the sage replied with only 5 words, "A bowl of rice." The young men thanked him and departed, but each of them felt puzzled, wondering about the true meaning of the advice. They began to reflect. Did he mean that work is only to provide a daily bowl of rice? Or was there a deeper lesson? As they walked back to the city, the two young men pondered the sage's advice. They both understood that the bowl of rice represented daily life, that work was merely a means to earn a living. However, each interpreted and acted on it very differently. One felt it was clear that if his current job was unbearable and only provided a bowl of rice, there was no reason to endure it. He immediately resigned and returned to the countryside to farm, where he could have control over his work and life. Using the experience he had gained in the city, he imported high-quality seeds and gradually became successful, producing the best crops in the region. He earned not only substantial profits, but also recognition as an expert in his field. Meanwhile, the other man realized that if work was just a bowl of rice, he no longer needed to worry about pressures or mistreatment from his superiors. Instead of leaving, he worked diligently, accepted challenges, and learned to handle difficulties. Over time, he developed his skills, demonstrated resilience, and gradually rose to higher positions. Eventually, he became a manager, achieving success, respect, and happiness in his career. The story shows that the same advice can lead to different paths depending on one's mindset, circumstances, and personal decisions. Is field. Years later, the two young men unexpectedly met again. They discussed how the same advice from the sage had led them down completely different paths. One became a successful farmer, the other a successful company manager. Both were wealthy and happy, but they were puzzled. The manager wondered why, if they heard the same advice, one chose to quit while he stayed. He laughed and explained that once he understood work as just a bowl of rice, he stopped taking mistreatment personally and chose to stay, using opportunities to grow. The farmer was also puzzled. He understood work was a means of living, so why did he leave while the other succeeded? They decided to see the sage again for clarification. When they returned, they expressed their confusion and wished to understand the true meaning of his advice. The sage closed his eyes, then opened them and answered in 5 words, "A difference of thought." He explained that everyone has their own path to happiness, and depending on mindset, circumstances, and choices, each person finds joy in their own way. The message: there is no absolutely right or wrong path. Only the path you choose to reach happiness. After expressing their confusion about the paths they had taken, the young men returned to the sage for a clearer answer. They explained that the same advice, a bowl of rice, had led them to entirely different directions. One quit to become a farmer, the other stayed and advanced at the company. They wanted to know which path the sage truly intended. The sage closed his eyes, meditated, and then opened them, giving the answer again in 5 words, "A difference of thought." He explained that each person has their own way of thinking, and in life, everyone has their own path to happiness. No choice is absolutely right or wrong. What matters is that it aligns with one's awareness, values, and circumstances. His message was clear. Work, like a bowl of rice, is simply a means to meet basic needs. How one approaches work depends on mindset and perspective. Some may find leaving is the right choice, others may find staying and overcoming challenges is the path to happiness. Both achieve success and joy in their own way, as long as they understand the true value of work and use it to grow. The story concludes with a reminder that there is no single path to happiness, and differences in thought, perception, and action determine life's outcomes. What you do, how you feel, and how you think about your circumstances create your own unique path. The sage emphasizes that all of this is captured in the simple yet profound meaning, just a bowl of rice. The final lesson, understand yourself, choose a path aligned with your mindset, and pursue happiness your own way, whether continuing in work or leaving to find a new path. Finally, the sage explained that everyone has their own path to happiness, and how one thinks determines their choices. He emphasized that the answer, a bowl of rice, signifies that work is only a means to earn a living and should not be overly stressed or regarded as a burden. The main message is that everyone can perceive situations in their own way, guided by mindset, values, and self-awareness. The one who quit chose farming because he realized that enduring a terrible job just for a bowl of rice would not bring happiness. The one who stayed understood that work was not worth excessive worry, and he took the opportunity to grow, advance, and succeed. Though they went in different directions, both found success and happiness in their own way. The sage concluded that differences in thinking create individual paths, and the key is understanding the value of work and using it for personal growth. No path is absolutely right or wrong. What matters is how you choose and follow your own way. The ultimate message: understand yourself, find a suitable path, and pursue happiness in your own way, because in life, everything is simply a bowl of rice. The story of the two young men and the sage ends with a profound message about life, work, and personal choices. When they met again years later, they realized that the same simple advice, a bowl of rice, had led them down entirely different paths. One quit to become a successful farmer, while the others stayed at the company, overcame challenges, and rose to management. Both were wealthy and happy, but the ways they achieved it were entirely different, leaving them puzzled and curious about the true meaning of the sage's advice. The sage emphasized that each person has their own path to happiness, and the most important factor is the difference in thought. The bowl of rice represents basic needs. Work is a means of living, not a mental or material burden. The story teaches that how one perceives and acts in circumstances determines life outcomes. The farmer understood he should not endure a toxic work environment and chose a new path aligned with his mindset and values. The one who stayed realized work was not worth excessive worry and used opportunities to learn, overcome challenges, and succeed. The story also stresses that no path is absolutely right or wrong. Each choice is valid if it fits one's awareness, values, and circumstances. Happiness and success do not come from copying someone else's path, but from understanding oneself and making decisions based on thought and action. The final message: understand yourself, choose a suitable path, and pursue happiness your own way. Life is simply a bowl of rice, and your mindset determines how you achieve success and fulfillment. The story concludes with a profound message about life and how each person approaches work. When the two young men returned to see the sage years later, they realized that the same advice, a bowl of rice, had led them down two different paths. One quit to become a successful farmer. The other stayed at the company and advanced to management. Both were wealthy and happy, but the ways they achieved it were entirely different, leaving them puzzled. The sage explained that differences in thought are decisive. A bowl of rice only represents basic needs. Work is a means to earn a living and should not become a mental burden. The farmer understood that continuing in a terrible job would not make him happy, so he chose a path aligned with his mindset and values. The one who stayed realized work was not worth excessive worry and seized opportunities to grow. The ultimate message is that no path is absolutely right or wrong. Everyone has their own path to happiness. What matters is understanding yourself, recognizing the value of work, and choosing a path that fits your mindset and circumstances. In life, everything is simply a bowl of rice, and your way of thinking determines how you achieve success and happiness.